Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's 8:01. Good morning. I call to order the DuPage County Finance Committee regular meeting. This is for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Cahill, Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Here.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozag, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu,
Here.
and Member Zay.
Okay. Chairwoman's remarks. First of all, do we have any public comment? I always miss that. Chairwoman's remarks. I'm going to keep everything really brief today. We do have a hard out on this meeting at 9:30 because we do have our small agency grant program, our presentation and our reception at 9:30. So I'm just going to continue on. May I get a motion to approve the minutes for 25-1541 Finance Committee regular meeting, Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. Who was the motion? I'm sorry. Member Krajewski, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to budget transfers. May I get a motion on budget transfer 25-1567. This is for the transfer of funds of contingencies to other professional services in the amount of $470,420 to cover the continued implementation cost for the new Dayforce payroll system. A motion by Member Rutledge, second by Member, anybody? Second by Member Heather, and then we got a question by Member Krajewski.
Yeah, several of them could go through these next 4 or 5 items, but we're putting $500,000 out of contingencies into the software implementation. My first question is, how come did we not foresee this and we have that in the budget to begin with? I think we were going through this problem already. So I'm not sure why it wasn't in the budget to begin with and why we put it in the contingencies. Then we have overtime. Then it looks like we're getting rid of a firm and then we're bringing another firm in. And is this the same thing that we were giving ROE a hard deadline a year ago, telling them that they had to go get their own payroll system if they couldn't join this because we were getting ready to go live a year ago, and now we're a year later, and it appears that we're still spending an awful lot of money and we haven't got this thing implemented.
Yeah, so I had the same questions, and I'm going to have Christine Clevenger from HR.
Like we need a presentation on what's going on.
Sure. Okay. Well, let me talk today, and then yes, we can come back and talk a little bit more. So we are still in the implementation of Dayforce, the new payroll system. We are looking to, we did anticipate it to be live at this point. However, we had some obstacles that were unforeseen until we still started diving into it. So, we have made a lot of movement. We've had a lot of progress done, but we do have a few things that we're still working through that are pretty big. This is such a large reaching project that as we touch different things, some things kind of appear that, we're still working through. They just take time. Our goal is to go live in the fourth quarter of this year, but we do have a couple things that we need to work through. One is there is a report that the Care Center has that is with the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, and so that is one that we are, still working through to see if Dayforce is the one that can actually do this report or not. So we don't want to make a decision until we know that it's going to work, or if we have to look at other options to be compliant with that CMS report. The other one is ROE. We've made a lot of progress with them, but we do want to make sure that their integration back into their system for the finance piece is done too. So we've been working with them as well. So some of those things just are big mountains to move.
Okay, but I would like to see us get a lot more information regarding this on the implementation. I mean, I didn't really get much from what you said, but I know we were supposed to be like a year ago. But starting from the beginning and how this would have been implemented, because I think some of these things should have been foresaw at the beginning. I know this probably predates you.
Yeah.
It was probably started by your predecessor. I'm not sure at the beginning, and I think that's probably caused a lot of problems because of, I just don't understand these implementations. We as DuPage County, 4,500 employees, and we have a few, different things with Unions Care Center.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of Dayforce and payroll,
Mhm.
there's
The payroll-
much larger corporations that are tens of thousands of people that have this implemented. So
Right.
I'm not sure if we're not doing it at the beginning.
Some of it, to your point, is the setup. is
Yeah,
the
so
way
I mean,
we
I don't
initially
need to
started.
debate it now, but I think we need a bigger us to find out about this. Because it goes back to, I just had a constituents last week that's talking about their senior freeze, that Tyler can't get the coupons on the tax form right. And that's another problem that they have. And I just don't understand. We have all these implementation problems with our technology that have been going on for a long time. And we need to identify why these things are happening. Are we not getting the consulting up front? Because again, we're not a very large corporation in the grand scheme of a lot of them that are out there that use some of the same tools and seem to be able to implement it much easier than we seem to have problems all the time, which is getting more money put in for overtime, more money here. And this thing was supposed to be done, like I said, a year ago. We were sending stuff out to ROE about, you got to get up and you got to get this all in and you got to do all this, because we're going live July 1st. Now we're almost July 1st a year from now, and we're still having issues. And the care center now is talking about it.
Right.
Those things should have been flushed out.
Right.
I know it's not your fault. You weren't here when your predecessor started this, but are we going down the wrong path, or we just didn't get the upfront consulting? But it's costing us a lot of money. We need to figure out why this is happening. So we're not constantly incurring these expenses, and we can have, a much smoother implementation, and not put all you and your staff through a lot of headaches that you're going through. It's not your fault. It's you inherited this, and now we're trying to fix it.
Right.
And,
Thank
and
you.
again, I agree with you, Member Krajewski. I've had discussions with Christine here, and I think a presentation would be nice. I know that they've had lots of presentations in technology. There has been things done in technology talking about what's going on with that. So, but we will bring one here to the finance committee, and so that the whole board is.
I don't even need a presentation if I could just get a write-up on the beginning of how we implement it, or who we brought in as consultants, but it'd be easier. I don't need to have a whole presentation, but thank
Oh,
you.
all right, thank you. Member Zay was next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Christine, I know you walked in the middle of this. In that report, we get overall cost. What does this cost us so far?
Sure.
Are we past the point of no return? I mean, I know there's big companies, but there's also, for how much we're spending, there's ADP, there's Paylocity, there's a million private companies that do this. I mean, payroll is not something, earth shattering here. Everybody does it. I mean, I know it's hard to implement, but we've got a lot of bells and whistles going. But at some point, where's the cost of return for us? I mean, if we're spending $1 million on implementing a payroll, system,
Yeah.
I mean,
And this time we are trying to consolidate and bring multiple systems into one. And I think that's a big, the payroll piece itself, setting up the rules and testing the rules and making sure, that's been pretty straightforward, just working out the bugs. But it's bringing in all those different systems, the Chronos, the Power Time, some, home grade, homegrown systems that we use internally. We really have a diverse, when we went out to look at what everyone uses to capture time, it's so many different things, systems, internal processes that we try to integrate into that payroll. That's probably our biggest hurdle, to be honest. And maybe that wasn't addressed and set up properly from the initial start.
Okay.
So,
well, are we being too nice? I mean, we're paying everybody. This is what we're doing from now on. This is how you're going to clock in. This is the system. This is what we're doing. This is how it's going to be. Not your homegrown, which scares the hell out of me for a payroll system. I mean, this is what it needs to be. I mean, this is what we're doing. And if you're not going to follow it, guess what? Your employees aren't going to get a paycheck.
yeah,
I mean,
and we are
easy enough.
working with our departments, and they are, there is a lot in there that we have to do. It's just some compliance stuff that, like I said, with that report, I mean, so much money is tied to that. We cannot afford to do that. So with the changes that we're doing today, we're reducing the managed services. So we anticipated, like you both have said, that this would be live. So there was money allocated there. We're reducing that to move that over to on Actuate to continue the implementation piece of it. So technically not asking for new money, just reducing one because we won't use it, and to add to the other bucket. As for the overtime, we have been putting a lot of hours in the last couple of years. We have been trying to hire people. We have some vacancies. And ironically, we've had a couple hires. We've been interviewing, had great candidates. We have good taste apparently, because then people counter and they stay. So we've had like 3 in a row that, so it's, we are a little bit low band, but I have to say finance, IT, and some of the other departments we've worked with, they have been putting in just as much time and energy as we have into this project.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Member you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have several questions, Christine, and maybe also Anthony would be helpful too. So can you just give us a little bit of background? Because I think there are 3 players here. So there's Dayforce, and that's the payroll system.
Correct.
And then there's Ceridian, and then there's also OnActuate Consulting. And it was my understanding that OnActuate was the one that was helping us with the implementation, that they were helping us with the training.
Correct.
They had benchmarks to meet.
Mhm.
And from the last update that I had received months ago, because I'm no longer technology chair, but OnActuate was supposed to give us certain things by certain deadlines. And if that didn't happen, then there were going to be certain consequences. So I don't know, it looks as if we are actually increasing the amount of money we're giving to OnActuate Consulting later on down the line. So I'm a little confused about that. And also I'm confused about the fact that this is the amount of $470,420 to cover continued implementation cost. Is that because it's a subscription service that we're using for Dayforce? Why is there an added on cost when we're just trying to get training and implement the system? Isn't that supposed to be Ceridian and OnActuate? Isn't that supposed to be their job?
So Ceridian, Dayforce, Ceridian, when we selected the system, the payroll system was called Ceridian. It merged with Dayforce. So now it's just Dayforce. It's kind of
Okay.
gone through that iteration. So that's one. OnActuate is a preferred implementer of Dayforce. So they, everything is remote. So we work with them online. We do all Teams meetings and, for our project. So we did have our first, what we call parallel, where we match our payroll system to theirs to make sure everything matched. We found that there were some issues, as well as trying to bring in at the same time, a decision was made that ROE could jump onto the project. So like I said, there's, other software and systems that it needs to go to integration to Infor. Things that, as we really kind of got into the weeds, found that it wasn't as simple and clean as we
Okay.
hoped it to be.
So that explains some things, but what about the OnActuate Consulting? And we were not happy with OnActuate, so we're giving them additional money?
So we are reducing what we had allocated for managed services, because at this time, we would have hoped that we were going live and it was an outsourced payroll system. So there's money sitting that we've allocated that we won't use because we're not going live. So we're reducing that contract and then adding it to that. There's also money in FY24 we didn't use with OnActuate. We moved to the FY25 budget so we could continue to pay, because we are doing multiple meetings each week. I mean, there's probably about 7 meetings a week we have with different implementer project team leads, with our staff, with finance, with IT, with HR, with care center, with departments, to make sure we've got everything and we're testing and validating and making sure that all our nuances, that to make sure we're paying properly and to contracts and policy are done. So we have a lot of moving parts. Even though we're not big, we're complex.
Is OnActuate the only company that can work with us at implementing Dayforce? Are we happy with OnActuate at this point?
Good morning. Yeah. So they're not the only implementation partner that they have, but at this point in the implementation, they're absolutely the only ones. If we decided to bring in anyone else at this point, we would have to start over. It would have cost us probably twice as much as we're spending today. So we need to stay the course and finish the things that are outstanding. Chris didn't say her team, again, has been fantastic as part of this implementation. It's a very complex implementation. We're not a small organization, right? And I think the initial scope may not have been as detailed as it should have been. And Chris did a good job, and her team, a good job of identifying some things that we needed to go deeper into, and that's why it's taking a little longer than we originally expected.
Thank you to you both.
Okay, member to start?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a very, very different question. I think about this every 2 weeks when we get these agendas. And I think my question is more for Jeff. I was just wondering, for those of us who don't deal with these budget transfers every day, I'm wondering if up in the corner where it says from company number, if we could add a line that says what the company is. So like, for example, 6A says company number 6,000, B is 1,000. C is 1,500. And sometimes reading the information on those sheets, we can figure out what department that is. But a lot of the times I can't. Is there a way that we can just add like company 6,000 means ROE or company 1,000 means, IT? I have no idea. I'm just requesting that we add more information on there.
On the agenda itself, the description,
No, on the sheets when you
On
go
the
in.
sheets?
Yeah.
well, we can look into to modifying that, but I think on there, it does show you what department it is on the sheet itself, the attachment. The attachment should have the account number, the name of the department requesting it, the description, and the dollar amounts.
I see the dollar amounts. I don't see the departments.
Let me open.
I'm especially talking up where it says company number.
Yeah, if we could, we can put that in there, company/accounting unit name.
Yes, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's actually on there. That's our general ledger, our fund and department.
Is it on the
The
top
mon-
right? The top
Yeah, on the
right?
top right.
Top
It's
right
coming from
of
the money is in the capital projects fund. It's called infrastructure.
But does it say specifically the department? Because I'm not seeing that.
Well, the department is a capital account that's specific for Dayforce. It's not, this.
So I
isn't-
guess I'll talk to you later because I'm not seeing what you're seeing on those sheets.
Okay, I can show you the budget sheet itself.
Thank you.
All right, member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we have an internal project manager for this? This is such a big project.
We do. So
Okay.
in addition to Chris kind of leading the overall project on the business side, we have Mike Birdlick, who's part of the IT department, who's dedicated. He's a dedicated project manager to this.
Okay, so are you documenting everything with Monday or something?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. I'm glad we're documenting
No,
everything.
fully documented. We have the details. We know what the current issues are, and we have an idea of how long it'll take. Unfortunately, with some of these implementations, our projections are not spot on, and we don't quite get to where we need to be when we need to.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you very
but-
much.
Member Krajewski?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, two things, and it's in the, I guess the lens that you look at, you say we're a very large organization. Remember Cahill spent 10 years at E&Y. I spent 8 years at Deloitte. I think remember Galassi was at Arthur Anderson. This thing would be this county would be the smallest client that they have. And we've been through implementations. Our clients have been through implementations and they've gone a lot smoother. I raised the issue when I first got on this county board in 2010, that we should look at having outsourced our payroll. And Paul Fichtner, who was the finance chair at the time, said, oh, we did a study in 2007 that showed that it was much cheaper for us to do it internally than to outsource it. And well, just in looking at the world, when 80 to 90% of everybody outsources their payroll, there's a reason why, because it's much more efficient and less costly. Now I've seen 15 years. I mean, I go back to 2011, 12, we've tried to implement payroll. I remember we put a new payroll system in, tried to do it internally. Chris, you may remember when the W-2s were all screwed up. I remember opening up the W-2 and box 12, it had code E for a 503B, which is not for profit. It wasn't the 457. We had to reissue those. We keep hiring and paying tens of thousands, now millions of dollars over that 15 years. But yet we still think it was cheaper than to outsource payroll. And this is an issue today, but it's been an issue 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Every time we're doing new payroll systems, that at some point, maybe it is cheaper to go outside and have an outside payroll service do it. We haven't even got this one implemented. But again, I know there was a study done in 2007, allegedly it's cheaper internally, but if you go through and add up since I got on this board, 2010, we spent millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to get payroll. I mean, we've had employees a few years ago complain because they can't get their vacation showed on the system. They can't know how many hours they have. Used to have that on. That's been corrected. But again, I think we need to, at some point, have a deep dive into this and decide, are we on the right path or not?
Okay, I appreciate your comments. Did you want to answer that?
No, I was just going to add to that. So, member Krujewski, yeah, the history I don't know, but as far as this contract is concerned in Dayforce, after we go live, it will be partially outsourced. That's what managed services is. So you'll get a chance to, if we decide to do it long term, that's another decision that we would have to decide on as an organization. But you'll get a good sense of how outsourcing works with managed services for a while, because it essentially is outsourced, at least for the next few years. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone's questions about this. I think we do have to be cognizant that the county, no matter how small or large we think we are in comparison to other companies, we have such varied departments here that have to be taken into consideration. So, all their needs and things like that, and the people that are working there and things like that. So we have to be very cognizant that sometimes it is a little bit more difficult, I think, with the county because of that. I've worked in the government beforehand. And so trying to make sure that all of them work and that the way they're doing it, because some are still on Chronos, as we said, and some of them have been doing other things. So it's trying to now get them all under this one. It has been a little bit more of a complicated process. If I could ask if we could get some kind of perhaps quick history of Dayforce and just sent out, I think, it maybe would be better than a presentation, just because we have the budget presentations coming up. So we have our pretty full agendas coming up right now. But if you could send that out and then just send us exactly what needs to be maybe done still with some bullet points, so we know where we're at. And so then hopefully that will answer a lot of the questions here on the board.
Absolutely, for sure.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, any other questions on that then? All right, great. So all in favor of this item? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. May I get a motion to approve 25-1571 transfer of funds from the regular salaries to overtime in the amount of $20,000 to cover costs of staff overtime hours that will be needed to complete implementation and go live of new payroll software and human resources. I'm sorry, who was the motion? Member Childress, second by Member Glassy. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 25-1564 budget transfers for various companies and accounting units? Motion by Member Yu, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to procurement requisitions, and I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on 25-1554 Ceridian HCM 6499-001. This purchase order is decreasing in the amount of $373,750 due to funds allocated will not be used as the payroll implementation project is still in process. The go-live date has been moved to October 1st, 2025. The decreased funds will be moved to purchased order 6496001 serve issued to On Actuate Consulting US Inc. Human Services.
The motion by Member Cahill, second by Member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move for approval on FICO 0002-25 on Actuate Consulting US Inc. This purchase order is being extended to January 31st, 2026, and is increasing in the amount of $373,750 to allow the change in the go-live timeline to completely accomplish the implementation. These funds were decreased from purchase order 6499001 issued to Ceridian HMC Inc. This request will not result in an increase to the original budget, human resources.
Got a motion by Member Cahill, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on 25-1548. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Corrigan Moving Systems to provide moving services for the Regional Office of Education for the period of June 24th, 2025 through July 31st, 2025, for an amount not to exceed $25,981 per bid 25065 ROE, Regional Office of Education.
The motion member Cahill, second by member Zay. Any discussion? Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I just want to thank the ROE's office. It doesn't seem this hard to go out and bid a moving contract. From their high bid to the low bid, and they saved $38,000. So I would hope other departments would see that, or other countywides, kind of like the clerk's office. So thank you.
Question member you?
Yes, thank you. So I think I just had, I'm curious to know if the ROE is a separate elected office. I think I was just surprised that we were getting this approval of a contract to Corrigan Moving Systems. Is it because they're using our county procurement? And this was also a requisition under $30,000. And so is it just that they have to go through finance? I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I did find out that anything under 30,000 has to come to finance.
Yeah.
Yes, it's also because they use procurement, but they also used a grant. So we wanted to make sure that we had a competitive bid for them.
And just one more question. Is it their job to be moving schools from one location to another? I had no idea.
Jason, you got it.
My understanding is the facility that they were in is no longer where they'd like to be. They have an agreement with the neighbor Indian Prairie School District. They're using a vacant building that they have, so they're moving where their resources were to this new facility.
And when you say they, you're talking
The
about
ROE, sorry, the ROE is
the
moving.
ROE.
Yeah, they're moving their actual physical to it.
Okay.
Program, sorry, yes, not
Okay,
the entire office.
program
just
of
one.
ROE is moving from one location to another.
Correct.
The ROE is responsible for overseeing an alternative school
Mhm.
or the, other various schools. They're moving that program to
Okay.
this new facility.
Okay, the PRCC was not clear, so that's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIP 6-25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Riverdale Travel to provide travel services for various county departments for the period from July 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $144,434.85. Per renewal of RFP 24-046 FIN.
Got a motion by member Cahill, second by member you. Any discussion on this? Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is, from last year when we were issuing this purchase order to Riverdale Travel, how much did we actually spend? Was it a contract total amount not to exceed $144,000? Was it the exact same amount, or is this less or more?
So far as the middle of May, we spent $20,620. The request this year is about 50% less than last year.
Oh, okay.
And we're actually extending the contract to 1.5 years to align with the fiscal years.
And this is the not to exceed 144.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, member Glossy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just curious. I know we had a long discussion about this last year when we decided to move to this travel agency. Have you been pleased with the services and are you happy with the change?
I would say we have been. They've really worked with us. Implementation took a little bit longer for the fact that we were the first government agency, but they really worked with us. We're still working out a few little things, but nothing major, I would say. Is that a fair assessment? Yeah.
Member Krajewski.
If I remember right, when Member Cahill brought this to everybody's attention, we were budgeting about 800,000, and over the years, we were only spending about 300 and some thousand. You just mentioned that it was only 20,000, which seems awful low. Does that mean that some of or many of the employees are actually not using this service, but just doing it themselves?
So that could be correct. So we only go through what Riverdale the travels made through Riverdale. I know for some of the conferences, people do use their own credit cards.
I mean, when it's 20 grand, is that an easy information to pull and just say the total we've done is 100,000, but yet only 20% is being used through this?
Yes, so I'll work with finance. They have a nice budget tool that'll do that.
Hurry on it. I would
Yeah.
just, I mean, because it seems very low. It seems like more employees are not either, they're unaware of it or they're just not using it. Or they'd rather put it on their own.
I know
credit
some
card to
people
keep the
enjoy the credit
points.
card points and stuff.
Oh, right, yeah,
It's
it's all,
personal preference.
yeah,
at
I
that
would just
point.
like to see what percent is using it.
Yeah,
of
we,
doing it.
through OpenGov, I know that, we have a tool that we've created, but we'll
Okay,
update
thank
it
you.
and make sure it has that information.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Vice Chair Cahill. Moving on to Human Services and Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to discharge item 7B1 from committee.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. You've got the name. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, thank you. I move to approve item FIR 10825, acceptance and appropriation of additional funding for the Illinois Department of Human Services Supportive Housing Grant for program year 25 from $154,180 to $168,180, an increase of $14,000.
And a motion, Member Schwarzy, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 2425, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Alpha Baking Company to provide assorted sliced breads, rolls, and sandwich buns for the DuPage Care Center and cafes on county campus for the period of August 5th, 2025 through August 4th, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $43,200.
A motion by Member Schwarzy, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSR 1225, amendment to resolution HSP 2425 issued to Alpha Baking Company to provide assorted sliced breads, rolls, and sandwich buns for the DuPage Care Center and cafes on county campus for a one-time price increase of specific products.
The motion by Member Schwarzy, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 2525, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Medline Industries, Inc. for various linens for the DuPage Care Center for the period August 10th, 2025 through August 9th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $72,000.
Get a motion by Member Schwarzy, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Finally, I move on HSP 2625, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to A. Lugan Contractors LLC to provide architectural and mechanical services for multifamily homes for the weatherization grant program for community services for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $1,800,000.
Get a motion by Member Schwarzy, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Member Schwarzy. Moving on to Judicial and Public Safety and Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to discharge item 7C1 FIR -107-25, a recommendation for the acceptance and appropriation of the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network Grant, PY 25.
Okay. We got a motion by Member Evans to discharge, second by Member Galassi. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this motion has been discharged.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR -107-25, acceptance and appropriation of the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network Grant, PY 25. That's intergovernmental agreement number 202-50018 in the amount of $24,999.
Got a motion by Member Evans, a second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? Member Yu.
Just quick question. I saw that in the resolution, it actually says the term of the IGA is from July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. And I was just wondering if that is an issue.
I'll defer if Deputy Chief Billadu is online, but yes, there was something with the grant agreement. They're having an issue with the state. They finally got it through. Now they're getting the money. So that's where this is. So we just got this last week, Thursday. That's what the need for the discharge was. So in order to sign this and receive the funds, they needed to do that this week.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on JPSP 30 25. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Kelly Graham to design and implement comprehensive job placement for unemployed probationers for the period of June 30th, 2025 through June 29th, 2026 for a contract total amount not to exceed $32,000.
We got a motion by member Evans, a second by member, Galassi, Cahill, and a question by member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. During committee, we were asking for a success rate on this program. And I was wondering if, there we go. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Now it's good morning. Yes, so at JPS, I know that there were a couple questions regarding the success rate of both programs. We did do a little more digging into each of these programs. I will say that we do capture a number of performance metrics, a little bit different than what was brought up at JPS. I'll start by prefacing this by saying both programs are designed based on the best practices research in our field, which indicate that unemployment, substance abuse, and unstructured free time are amongst your highest risk factors for reoffending. And so that's really the basis of these programs. We do have referral data and successful outcome data for both programs, which I'd be happy to share. But I believe the initial question was on long-term success rates, meaning post probation, 1 to 5 years out after completing probation. We do not capture that data simply because once a person's probation sentence is complete, we just lose jurisdiction to talk with those individuals.
So, we have no data on longevity. Like, for example, we know that somebody got hired, but we don't know if they lasted a week or 10 years. Is that what
Sure.
you're saying? We don't know?
No, not necessarily. So a person's average probation term, it varies pretty significantly. Its average is about 24 months. So during the time of their probation period, we certainly do job placement, enhancing job skills, and we have data around that for the duration of the time the person's on probation. So we do employment verification for those individuals. So we know if they retain that employment throughout the course of their probation term. It's simply post probation that we don't have as much outcome data because, I'll be honest, most people don't want to report to probation once they
Right.
complete probation. It's usually not amongst the best experiences in their life.
Yeah, no, I get it. Does Kelly Graham follow up with those people though?
Say that again?
Does Kelly Graham follow up with the probationers who got
She does not.
jobs? She
Not
does not.
post probation.
Okay, thank you so much.
Throughout.
Member Rickoff?
Well, you and I exchanged a couple of emails about this, and my point is, I think everybody here wants to help people and especially wants to help people who want to help themselves. But we are able to somehow figure out recidivism rates of people for other programs. So I don't know. I know you can't maybe contact employers, but it seems to me that if we could get these people when they apply for the program to grant us access to certain things that maybe we can't get by ourselves, that would be a help. And then to follow up with however other programs use recidivism as a marker, that would be another help, because I hate to, just as I told you before, put money into a program when I can't tell if it's being effective.
Sure, just 2 comments. I do think we can commit to exploring ways we could better capture some of that longer term data. The other piece I just want to note here is for the employment coordinator, these are not funds coming out of the general funds. They come out of probation fees for the employment coordinator, and the recovery coach coordinator is actually grant funded. So just to kind of put that out there as well. So we do have accountability to both of those mechanisms as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you so much for coming up. Appreciate it. Okay, all those in favor of this item? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP 31-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lauren McLaughlin as a recovery coach coordinator to work with Serenity House and Path to Recovery coaches, probation, and other stakeholders to provide services to the participants in the program for the period of July 1st, 2025 through July 8th, 2026 for a contract total amount not to exceed $45,000.
We've got a motion by member Evans, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Did I get the right one? No. It's okay. Aye. Moving on to Public Works. Thank you, member Evans. Moving on to Public Works and member Childers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 2925 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Commonwealth Edison for the electric utility supply and distribution service for the connected county facilities for facilities management for a period of June 29, 2025 through June 28, 2027 for a total contract amount not to exceed $7,711,220.
Got a motion by member Childers, second by member Zay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3125 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Touch Source LLC to provide and deliver an outdoor touchscreen kiosk for the JTK Administration Building for Facilities Management for a period of June 25, 2025 through June 24, 2030 for a total contract amount not to exceed $40,877.61.
Yeah, okay. Got a motion by member Childers, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? Member Honig.
Thank you, Chair. I just noticed that this contract is almost, the longevity of it's 5 years. Is this just a slow implementation? Or is this where, we're going through it as it's a new implementation so that there are things that have to be drawn out to figure out what's to see it to completion?
Sure. We're very excited about this opportunity. I got to tell you, this campus can be incredibly confusing. This is a 5-year owning and operating expense, so we have a 5-year warranty that comes with it. So that's why that term is for 5 years.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Okay, any other discussion on this? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3225 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Hune Electric, Inc. for Phase 2 installation of solar panels on the roof of the JTK Administration Building for Facilities Management for a period of June 24, 2025 through June 23rd, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $574,833.
Okay, we've got a motion by member Childers, second by member Desart. Got a question by member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. Do we have a payback on this new array? Because I know we really shrunk it on what we did on the 421A. Estimate.
So this before you. Right now, it's negative, meaning we have enough funding coming in. We are pursuing expanding the array to try and take better advantage of the funding that we have coming in. So, and that's an accurate number because we were both surprised. So Nick gave us a homework assignment to work very, very diligently to try and expand this array onto the auditorium. And we are pursuing that right now. So in a perfect world, we're pursuing the opportunity to come back to you with more money to try and take advantage of the various funding sources that came in. And the lion's share of the reason why it's negative is because of the EECBG. We have, you have the numbers in front of you from memory, it's 254,000. So we have that along with the ComEd rebates and some other incentives that are there.
Well done. Thank you. And I'm thrilled to, when I first started talking about solar, I wanted it like dandelions in the wind to all of our flat roofs. So thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for making my dream come true.
We got started because of you, so thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Great work, member Rutledge, and thank you, Tim. Thank you, all the staff, and thanks for the homework, Tim, for Nick, for all the other staff. Okay, all those in favor of this item? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMR 425 on the rescission of requisition 250748 for the approval of a contract to Whipfly LLP to provide accounting services and support related to the pursuit of the federal renewable energy tax credit as part of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 for facilities management for a period of March 18, 2025 through March 17, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $16,370.
And a motion by member Childress. I believe we had a second by member Heather, question by member Krajewski.
Two questions. One, since this contract started 3 months ago, have they already started working on this tax credit? And then the second one is, do we have the ability to sell these credits?
So
Because I know some of these.
first one's easy. So we weren't able and never able to enter into a contract. They wouldn't agree to our terms. So that's why we're rescinding it. So they have not started. And then the counterpart in Public Works Committee, we awarded it then to and negotiated with Baker Tilly. They were able to enter into the agreement. As far as the second one.
So we have Baker Tilly doing this, or we have?
Baker Tilly, this is a rescission. If you look, this is a rescission.
I say Baker Tilly's pretty good at this.
Yeah, they were, the reason we picked this individual or this firm first is the team was it was made up of our treasurer, of our CFO. So it was pretty powerful. And they had the lowest pricing, but they wouldn't agree to our terms.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm more comfortable with Baker Tilly.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But then the second part of it is, can these credits be sold? And I know there are these federal renewal credits that can be sold, and some of them, but depending on who acquires them, you can get them for more than $1, dollar for dollar, so they can range, I think as high as maybe.
We will be getting, upon the completion of this work and submittal, if things don't change in DC, we will be getting money back. This is in lieu of tax credits. This is affectionately called elective pay, because government did not have tax credits. So this replaces tax credits. So we will be getting a check back for.
Can we ask Baker Tilly? I mean,
absolutely.
So yeah, we're gonna get a check,
sure.
But I think, because we can't use the credits, but I think you have the ability to sell the credits. And I think in some cases, depending who's looking to acquire them, what tax brackets are in and where they're at, that they'll pay more than $1 for dollar credit.
I can verify it's A or B. And we're going, this is B because A isn't available to us, but I will verify.
Well, I know A is not available to us. We don't need the tax credit. We don't pay taxes, but I do believe you can. I just asked Baker Tilly if you can sell the credits.
Absolutely.
And then, if we can sell them, then, potentially you could sell it for more than the dollar on dollar.
And as Baker Tilly and this program moves forward, we will absolutely explore with them all of our options.
They'll know that answer.
Yeah, they'll know it. So
Yeah, so I would just check that. It should be pretty quick. Thank you.
And then our goal is we will use the template Baker Tilly. Our goal is to do this internal after this, but the first time is you're an account.
Yeah, no, it's good and plus Baker Tilly will make sure they capture all the costs, whereas these smaller ones may not understand that. So no, I'm confident Baker Tilly doing the work. Just question is, can we sell those credits versus taking the dollars?
Okay.
Sell them for more than $1 on dollar.
Sure.
Any other discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FWP, 1525 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Sheffield Safety and Loss Company, LLC, for safety program management for various county departments for a period of June 25, 2025 to June 24, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $150,000.
Motion by member Childress, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And finally, I'd like to move on PWP 1625 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Commonwealth Edison for electric utility supplies and distribution services for the connected county facilities for public works for a period of June 29, 2025 through June 28, 2027, for a total contract amount not to exceed $3,360,000.
Got a motion by member Childers, second by member Zay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Childers. Moving on to transportation and member Ozark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to move to combine items 1 through 3.
Motion to combine items 1 through 3. Who seconded that? I'm sorry. Member Zay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items are combined.
Okay, thank you. I move to approve item 251461, amendment to resolution DTP 5724 issued to Lightly Enterprises of Ohio to furnish and deliver signed materials, rolled goods as needed for the Division of Transportation to increase the funding in the amount of $34,190, resulting in a revised encumbrance of $44,190 with no change to the contract amount. Move to approve 251465, amendment to resolution DTP 5324 issued to Mandel Metals to furnish and deliver aluminum sign blanks as needed for the Division of Transportation to increase the funding in the amount of $26,800, resulting in a revised encumbrance of $41,467.88 with no change to the contract amount. And I move to approve DTCO 125, amendment to contract purchase order 7593 serve issued to Brad Bailey Sales doing business as Lake County Trailers to furnish and deliver 2 enclosed trailers for the Division of Transportation to increase the funding in the amount of $1,000. Pardon me. Resulting in an amended contract amount of $30,544, an increase of 3.38%. Pardon me.
Yeah, we got a motion by member Ozark, second by member Heather. Any discussion on any of these items? All those in favor then? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. One question, member Hoda.
Thank you, Chair. So quick question, I'm just unaware, is this in Ohio? I know it has Ohio in the name, but is this an Ohio-based company? And also, do we just not have these materials that we have to outsource to another state to get them that we don't have in-house? Specifically?
That's item 1, correct?
Item 1, yeah, 251461.
So yeah, we do outsource these materials. We don't have all of the rolled up sign material ourselves, so we do have to go out, and it's procurement, and we're looking for our lowest bid.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry.
any other discussion on that? Okay. All those in favor then of those 3 items? Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved.
Okay, I move for approval of DTP 3825, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Elmhurst Chicago Stone LLC to provide Portland cement concrete as needed for the Division of Transportation and Public Works for the period of June 24th, 2025 through March 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $64,000 per lowest responsible bid.
Got a motion by member Ozark, second by member Cahill. Any discussion on these items? Nope. Any, all in favor then? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I move to combine items 5 through 7.
Got a motion by member Ozark to combine 5 through 7, second by member Zay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion, those items are combined.
Okay, I move to approve DTR 1525, awarding resolution to Compass Minerals America Incorporated for the bulk rock salt program for an estimated county cost of $707,900 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTR 1625, awarding resolution to Builders Paving LLC for improvements to County Highway 33 75th Street Frontage Road for an estimated county cost of $2,136,950.76 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTR 1825, resolution to rescind DTP 1725 issued to Ozinga Ready Mix Concrete to furnish and deliver Portland cement concrete as needed for the Division of Transportation and Public Works, contract total of $75,000.
Got a motion by member Ozark, second by member Heather. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And finally, I move for approval of DTR 1925, recommendation for approval of annual financial, the annual financial commitment in support of Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning to consolidate planning of land use and transportation for the 7 counties of Northeast Illinois, $79,263.
Got a motion by member Ozog. Is there a second? Yeah, I see the question. But is there, are you seconding also? Sure. Second by member Dessart? Okay, question by member Dessart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering if I could get a little more information about this. I know that we have a relationship with CMAP, but I couldn't find out what exactly this is for. Is it for membership dues? It says to consolidate planning of land use. Anyway, thank you, Steve. I just
Yeah.
wanted some more
No,
information.
it is kind of like membership dues. So all of the municipalities, local agencies in the 6-county area, the non-attainment area for air quality, it as part of their planning and land use efforts, we're required to participate.
So this is an annual fee?
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions on that? Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam
Moving
Chair.
back to financial resolutions and Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIR 99-25, acceptance and appropriation of additional funding for the Aging Case Coordination Unit Fund Program Year 25, Company 5,000, Accounting Unit 1660, in the amount of $120,000, Community Services.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 102-25, acceptance and appropriation of the HUD 2024 and 2025 Continuum of Care Homeless Management Information System Grant Agreement, Company 5,000, Accounting Unit 1480, in the amount of $199,080, Community Services.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Schwarzy. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 103-25, acceptance and appropriation of the HUD 2024 and 2025 Continuum of Care Homeless Management Information Systems Agreement, Company 5,000, Accounting Unit 1480, in the amount of $84,800, Community Services.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 104-25, additional appropriation for the Title 4D Grant State Fiscal Year 26-27 Intergovernmental Agreement, Company 5,000, Accounting Unit 6570, in the amount of $1,629,842, State's Attorney's Office.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Okay, any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIR 105-25, amendment to Resolution FIP 0002-25, issued to Corvell Corporation to add and approve the Corvell Corporation's CARE MC license agreement and mutual non-disclosure agreement as additional contract documents, Human Resources.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member, I think it was Zay, correct? All those in favor? Aye. I'm sorry, was there any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIR 106-25, approval of the 2026 holiday schedule, Human Resources.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 109-25, approval of employee compensation and job classification adjustments, facilities management.
Got a motion by member Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. I move to receive and place on file A, payment of claims, B, wire transfers, C, county board resolutions, and D, grant proposal notifications.
Okay, we've got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Schwarzy to receive and place on file these items. Is there any discussion on any of these items? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All of these are received and placed on file. Okay, do we have any old business for today? Any new business? Member Krajewski.
Yeah, I'd like to ask if we get staff to give us, well, I'd like to see 2 reports. I had a senior citizen come into my office 2 weeks ago that's on fixed income, and they had the senior freeze, which wasn't put on their tax bill. So they had to do a certificate of error, and they had to pay, their taxes went on almost 100%. So a senior on fixed income had to pay the entire amount of what the normal tax would be on the first installment. Then they did the correction, and when they got the new invoice, it had the correct amount to pay. They had to pay on the second installment, maybe $1,000, but the second installment coupon printed out 0. So then when the senior went to the bank refused to take it because it doesn't match the coupon. So they won't take it. So it was I followed up, and Jason did a great job, but when the senior freezes are submitted after October 31st, then they have to do a certificate of error. This individual submitted theirs to us here at the county in July, so many months before. At first, they said that I got lucky and it was the only one, but they did do an audit of all of York Township and found out of the 45 corrections that were made, there was, I think, 4 of them that were in our office before the deadline, and we somehow missed it. And if you extrapolate that among the townships, maybe there's 30 if they did a full audit. So supposedly we've implemented procedures now to make sure when they come in prior to October 30th, we get them done. I'm not sure still how we didn't get them done. The second component of it is with the treasurer's office. I did talk to the treasurer's office, and they said they know, yeah, that's a problem with Tyler, that the coupon doesn't match the balance due on the certificate of error. And they go through them manually and said that one must not have been caught. But I don't know. I'd like a report from the treasurer's office. Is it just senior freezes that don't get corrected on the printout, or is it all certificate of errors that are done? So I just like the 2 things, and we don't need it here now, but I would just like the first one to make sure that we've got procedures in place at the supervisor of assessments office, that when they come in prior to October 30th, that we get them done and processed. We seem to, like I said, have missed when Jason did the audit, a few of them that came in prior. And that was just York Township, so there may have been other ones, that we have that in place. So at least when you submit it on time, you don't have to have the certificate there. The ones after the fact that we can't control, but then I'd like to know why Tyler can't get that coupon correct. Because the other option, they have to come out here then. And these are seniors on fixed income. And again, I don't know if it just applies to them or if it's applying to all certificate of errors, but I'd like the treasurer to let us know what it applies to, and then what the time frame is for Tyler to get that fixed. I don't know. Again, it shouldn't be that hard, I wouldn't think. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I don't think anyone from the treasurer's office is here, or the assessment. Well, I'm just saying, it's just they know that this is the request that you're making. So if Jason's, okay, you're gonna let them know. Okay, thank you. I know Jason can, and I trust you will.
But thank you for getting that audit done too, but again.
Okay, all right. So we'll get that hopefully out to you soon. Any other new business? Okay. And we don't have an executive session? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn? Second? Okay, so we are adjourned. Thank you.
Wait, I'm sure.